welcome to Layback with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back. Hello and welcome to Layback with Betfair. It's been a huge week in sport and racing, and it just continues this week as we turn our eyes to Flemington for the Group 1 Turnbull Stakes. We'll also preview the Hill Stakes up there at Rosehill Gardens. My name's Nick Foot, your host. Joining me, we've got the A-team back this week. We've got Reece Goodwin, the Prince of Pakenham, Baron of Betfair, Tom Haylock. Welcome back, Reece.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's good to be back. Had a week off, refreshed, ready to go. It was a bit of a putrid week for, I think, most of us last week.
Yeah.
But, we'll bounce back. Looking forward to it.
How'd your horse go Thursday?
Still going?
Still going.
No, went okay, actually. Went okay. Didn't win. So it doesn't matter.
Should have.
If you're not first, you're last.
True.
Well,
True.
the prize money says otherwise.
Yeah, well, I suppose, yeah.
We always pay down.
They pay bills, yeah.
We do. Boys, packed show today. Plenty of great racing to dissect. But first of all, let's hop into the lay bin, where we just get things off our chest that we're not comfortable with. And Tommy, you're always good for a lay bin. What are you throwing in there this week, mate?
Yeah. Well, I had it all planned, and then something came up yesterday that I thought I'd add as well. Aaron Norton, 8 years. 8 years. You can't probably talk. 8 years.
Well, I'm a Western Bulldogs man, but
Are you?
I
didn't know that.
I couldn't care less because contracts mean nothing.
Well, that's
Clayton Oliver hasn't even started his contract and he's already getting traded.
Luke Bruce kicked more goals than Aaron Norton this year in a wheelchair.
Are you reheating Kane Corns' soup? I'm pretty sure he tweeted that.
That could be the lay bin.
I did put that in the lay bin before he tweeted that.
Yeah, interesting.
Actually, I did scan past that. That's well picked up.
Another
Right.
thing, I'll move on quickly after that drive-by. I've got here spring. Now, spring in general is not in the lay bin, but you know it's spring when trainers start talking about watering tracks for their horses and agendas, Imperatriz and Amelia's Jewel and the weight scales and handicappers, and they're getting on the front. Get in the lay bin. Don't force handicappers' hands. Who cares? Let the handicapper do their job. Don't come out in socials or on the media and say, oh, we won't run and make threats of not running. Just cop it.
Do you think handicappers take those threats,
Yes.
though?
Yep.
You think the rivalry between Victoria and New South Wales,
Which is
losing
rubbish.
Amelia's Jewel...
It is rubbish.
So that whole thing's in the lay bin.
The whole scenario.
I don't think we've got a bin big enough for you.
That's why we need. That's why we need everyone to get on the same page and have our best horses
agree.
running in the best
Agree.
races. Don't
Agree.
split them. I could talk about this for hours.
How's the irony here of Tom telling people to stay in their lane, but then getting out of his lane and questioning 8-year contracts?
yeah.
Oh, it's not lost on me.
What else is going to say about that? Amelia's Jewel. Do you reckon they're just waiting on what happens in the Turnbull?
I think
If Romantic Warrior comes out, wins by 4, they might duck off to Sydney.
I think he said on radio during the week he's definitely keeping an eye on all the other horses to see what they're doing.
If Romantic Warrior starts to $1.80, $2 in a Cox Plate, they'll go to the Golden Eagle and
We'll discuss that later, but the racing fan in me just wants to see Romantic Warrior come out this week and just need the run.
Yeah.
Just, not win. Just for the Cox Plate.
Yeah.
Just for the hype around the race.
Just a nice run.
It's our greatest weight for age race.
Cam
and
Luke
I
said
want
that on
that.
SEN.
Yep.
He said, I hope it gets beaten. I don't know. I also like to see the best horses perform at their best.
Yeah.
True. Fair call. My lay bin this week is, and Tommy, great segue by you, is Nuffies. Now, it's the end of the footy season. It's a long season as it is. We don't need to keep it rolling. My social media algorithm is absolutely cooked with just absolute gurus thinking they're, these trade hypotheticals, who's going where. It is just actually like I use Twitter as a source of news for me, and that's racing, and maybe that's on me. I need to sort my algorithm out a little bit better. But the Nuffies are filling it up. They've got to go. Get in the bin.
Trade radio, it's journalists making up rumours or reading Big Footy, and then people jumping on, reporting it, and then people reporting on the reports.
Yeah.
Bit like you with Kane Corns and Luke Bruce.
Well, I put Trade Radio on the lay bin on SEN one day and realised that Trade Radio was on SEN, so that went well.
Outstanding. Well, you're still working this, that's all right. Still got a gig, so you're doing okay.
That's classic. Have you got something for us, Reece?
I do, yeah, because I had last week off, so I've had a bit of time to think about it. And it's probably old now, but I want to bring it up again. Ryan Moore, I think he can get in the lay bin for a sport that gives him so much and is basically his livelihood and been his career, for him to not even give anything to the reporters after those Group 1s in Sydney, I thought was piss poor in my opinion. I don't know why he thinks he's better than everyone else. I understand he obviously doesn't like to talk a lot. That's fair enough. You don't have to go out of your way, but just as you're coming through, everyone else is doing it. All you have to do is just say how the horse went and what your thoughts were. I can understand why people are divided by this, but the sport that dead set is his career and has given him so much, for him to be like that, I think it's completely wrong.
Well, you're actually saying more by saying less.
Yeah, that's right.
You can just give the smallest one-liner and no one bats an eyelid. The fact that you choose not to, it's a pile-on.
Like the only bloke that cops a bit of flack is Craig Williams because he takes too long. But you can't take not enough time. Like if you just give it one sentence, that's right, ran okay.
He thinks connections of the horse's progeny as well. Everything down the line.
I put that in the lay bin on Sunday. And
apologies for taking that.
No, that's all right. Good to see you tuning in. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's like racing's struggling, turnover's struggling. We're at a risk. We all love the sport. They're at the risk of wagering going to a sport because of how inclusive sport stars are. Yeah. They need to be better.
Good call. Could talk Laban all day with you guys.
I was going to say, is the show nearly over?
No, let's head to Flemington because it's Group 1 Turnbull Stakes Day. We're going to preview a big chunk of the card there. But before we do, we'll take a look at the track conditions and the weather. The rail's out 9. There's been some showers around and over the next few days. Look, probably expecting soft range, Tommy, and being on God's carpet at Flemington, I wouldn't expect that it would affect us from a pattern too much.
No, rail out. I think the track drives so well, so I think good 4.
Yeah, Liam O'Keefe said on radio he's expected to get to a 4.
Sunday. I think we'll be on a good 4. So track will play beautifully. Wind's very little around. You always look at the wind, especially for the straight races. So gentle southeast breeze, which is a crosswind in the straight, coming from the middle of the track. So you might not want to be the inside fence if it kicks up, but it's pretty light. Track will play well.
Excellent. Well, let's kick things off. We're going to take a look at race number 3, which is the listed Super Imposed Stakes for the 3-year-olds, set weights and penalties over 1,800 metres. Boys, how are we seeing this? Reece, I'm just making sure we've got our tips here in the right race because mine certainly aren't. So what I will say, though, while we sort that out, we can take a quick look at the map. We've got the likes of Ambassadorial here. We've also got the likes of Ruminate, Fists of Fury. They'll all push forward from the 1,800 metre start. Tommy, have you had a deep dive into this one at all?
I haven't. You added this to the run sheet late in the piece, and I haven't done it, so I'll move on to you.
So
your tips are in the right.
No, they're not. I'm actually tipping in the next race, which is the Edward Manifold. You've incorrectly moved my tips, Tommy.
Yeah. Can you stay in your lane, please, mate?
SK is running in the Superimposed Stakes, so I don't know what's going on here.
No, that's Nadachi who I'm tipping.
Do you want me to get started here?
Yeah,
right,
okay. Someone
sort this out. Righto. Well, I think most of these are the first time 1,800. Full field of 16. I think it'll be a bit of pressure going on here. Obviously, Gay's horse will roll forward. But I'm going to tip the local from Tyne Gates, Frankel Colt, who was really good first up, winning over 1,500 at Sandown. He's going to really appreciate getting out 1,800. He was set a little bit of a task. He was sort of took off 4 deep before the corner and sort of strike the front a long way out. He's done a really good job to fight off the late challenge. He's only going to be improved second up. They know that they want to get this colt up over a trip, and I think he's going to be strong late. I think they'll ride him quiet from the gate, hoping it's a high-pressure race, and some of these might be suspect at this trip, and I think him at double figures odds is a safe little each-way play.
Yeah, like $23 at the moment at the bookies. And Tommy, you did touch as well with SK. I did have that horse in there to mention, who was well beaten last start through the Exford Plate, and that was a really fast-run race. Introducing made sure they set up a really strong tempo up top. And there was a little bit of support and a little bit of chat around this Danny O'Brien runner that week, running well, and there's big raps on her, and I thought she got exposed a little bit early. She got well beaten, but I'm talking this is $71. This is a huge price. So I'm just going to have something very, very small on SK, and you can't really come at me for a $71.
I have heard Danny on radio talk about it too, and he does quite like her and was really keen to get her out to a trip like this. So there's probably going to be worse 70-1 pops going around.
Yep. Well, let's head to race number 4 now. After a little bit of a false start, that was... we've got to get on that run sheet, boys. I'm telling you. It's the Group 2 Edward Manifold Stakes. It's for the 3-year-old fillies, set weights over the mile. She's Lickety Split won this race last year, Elusive Express in 2021, and Thermosphere back in 2020. Map-wise here, Grinzinger Bell, Amazonian Lass, Aprilia and T-Tar, they look at the likely speed influences. What are we doing in this race, boys? We've all got a little bit of an angle here. Tommy, we might start with your angles first.
Yeah, Grinzinger Bell, clear leader here. 7 of these come through the Jim Maloney. Sonic Boom ran second. She meets 5 that finished behind her. 2.5 kilos better at the weight, so they've got to improve significantly to beat Sonic Boom home. Her sectionals were fantastic, wave through the field. Strong on the line, I thought. She's still on the way up. Poifect was also good in that run. That was only a second start too, so upside there. I looked away from the 2 lead-ups. I mean, Legacy was favourite here and was probably weak over 1,400 metres last start.
Had excuses.
Yeah, but she's still got a bit query at the mile, so I don't want to dive into Legacies as favourite, so I went a bit left field. Conasana playing first up at Hawkesbury. Put a pen through that. Her form reads really well. Fantastic last start at Flemington of 1,800 metres. She's had that run at the distance. She's back in trip, which Chris Waller does really well for these mile races. J-Mac goes on. Third up, good barrier. She has to be in the mix. You rarely see James McDonald riding at $11. I think with different form lines, I'm happy to have something on Conasana. The other one I've had something on, $151.
Oh, this is what we want.
3-year-old fillies race over a mile, and I'm backing a leader, clear leader, and I'm getting $151. Who won 2 starts ago? You just put a pen through that last run. Got to be a much better chance than $151. So you're probably getting 200s on Betfair.
200 some places.
Yeah, there you go. So have something on Grinzinger Bell. I just think it's a silly price. You could mark at 50s or 60s, but 150s, 200s is ridiculous for a leader.
Fair enough.
Layer with a liability of 200 units.
No issues.
Just to spite Tom.
Go on, I dare.
I'm going to bat up for Legacies here. Now, I wasn't with her first 2 runs because I think Bella even spoke about this. She had a lot to come through at the coat, and I've seen her at track work and that. I think you're probably getting a better price for her because of the gate. If she'd drawn softer, she was probably going to get an A1 run, and she was going to be probably too good for these at her best. So you've got to see her back at her best. I understand she was probably disappointing last start to a lot of punters because she was favourite. She looked to have every chance, and the Matthew Ellerton runner had a similar run and still beat her home. But she did pull up with some respiratory issues. The team's on top of it. Mood spoke on radio early in the week and is very confident. I don't have an issue with the trip. I think that's what she's looking for. I think she'll roll forward again in a less pressure race, in my opinion, and I'm happy to back her. I think she's the best filly in the race.
Yep. Well, I'm siding with that Matthew Ellerton runner that you prefaced there in Nadachi, and I think she's a great 1x3 play here. And you talk about expert play, it was fastly run. They went 9.1 lengths faster than the all benchmark to the 600. And Nadachi presented at the 300 metres, looked the winner at one stage, and was swooped upon late by the beneficiaries of that at that speed by the likes of Griff, who's since franked the form, going on to win at the Valley. So, I just can't have the price differential between Nadachi and Legacies. You're getting $9.50 about Nadachi, you're getting $3.50 about Legacies. It's a good 1x3 play, I think. So that's how I'll be attacking the Edward Manifold fellas.
Jamie Carr's still a negative for me. Riding at negative 49% profit on turnover this season, so obviously still overplayed in betting, and she's not riding anywhere near her best yet.
I always have a theory that the class, that always rises at this time of year as well. So I think she's in for I'm really keen to keep an eye on her for this spring carnival.
I think she's starting to get her feel back.
I reckon that's...
We're probably forgetting she had a pretty heavy knock to the head.
Yep.
And I must admit, I thought she wasn't riding at her best either, but it wouldn't surprise me if as you mentioned, footy starts hitting her straps this time of year.
How much would that affect the rider's confidence, having a fall like that?
Unfortunately for me, I've been riding track work for years and years and years and ridden at the picnics. I have come through unscathed pretty much. I haven't even broken a bone yet, so touch wood.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
You're the only jockey ever to not break a bone?
Probably because I was too scared and held on
risks.
for a great deal
when
of
you put them forward.
But I must say, even my partner, she's had some pretty nice. She broke her back only 2 years ago, and even just she'll admit, she's not lost her nerve, but she's much more cautious. So I can only imagine having a race fall and being in a coma and losing some of your memory. It must have a massive effect, and I can't even speak for her. So it could be, it could be pretty tough for her. So it's just good to see her back, and I think she rode a couple of winners, 2 or 3 winners during the week. So she's found a little bit of form.
Yeah.
Well, let's head to race 5 now. The Group 2 Danehill Stakes for the 3-year-olds, 1,100 metres up the Diddle. Now, from a map point of view here, not a lot of speed drawn at all in this race, and it can be hard to do maps generally for straight track races, get a little bit of a spread. I'll be interested to see how you're assessing the race, Tommy. I feel like we might have a couple of opposing views here and be going head to head.
Yeah, absolutely. No speed, as you mentioned. Honor Galore, I think they would like to take a sit with Honor Galore and track something into the race, but she just might lob in front. She's got more speed than these. She might just lead.
And Jamie's typical rider to not fight them too much. You'd rather go with them.
Let her be comfortable. Yep. Interesting that Damien Lane rode Honor Galore last start, jumps on Stretton Angel, and Jamie Carr rode Stretton Angel last start and jumps on.
A little swapperoo.
Honor Galore, they've swapped. This is a fascinating race. As you said, no speed in the race. Archo Nacho, I Am Unstoppable, Kandinsky, Abstract come through that Poseidon Stakes. Archo won that narrowly along the inside. It was a day where you needed to be either inside or outside early. Inside barriers, I think race 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 barriers, ran the top 4. Inside was clearly advantageous. So I thought I'm Unstoppable was unlucky not to win that. If the rider took that inside gap earlier in the race, probably wins that race. But interestingly, Stretton Angel on the same day ran 63.92. Same track, same distance, 63.92. Archo ran 64 flat, Diamond Unstoppable 64.08, so ties in. But interestingly, Stretton Angel was in the outside fence later in the day. So I just think the middle was off. We've seen that through a couple of horses that ran in the middle and loomed up. Little Miss Kirby, one of those Friday night, who ran superbly. She was in the middle and just couldn't finish off then. Different race shapes too. They went early. They went slower earlier in the boys with Archo Nacho and I'm Unstoppable went home much quicker. So I've out from that day, I'm leaning to the boys. I think there's more scope for improvement on a faster run race, and I think they can run home much quicker. Stretton Angel, they ran. You think she's got a really good turn of foot, but they actually went faster early, and the others were probably not going as quick. So I'm against Stretton Angel. I think the boys have more upside. I think they're better. And I'm happy to lay Stretton Angel here. The form through the race wasn't great. I don't like how the race shape formed for her last start, and I think the boys are much better. So I'm backing myself in there. I've got I Am Unstoppable on top. Archo won that pretty well, with probably more scope for improvement. First up to second up now. So I think the market's about right with those two. I'm not too keen to tie in. Libertad's a scary horse for me as well. I'm touching on every horse in the race, but really scary. Back from 1,200 metres to the 11, got Group 1 Golden Rose form, beat home Moravia, who was really good in the Golden Rose. That form's elite. And I think Honor Galore is probably over the odds as well. She's a very, very nice horse.
Is it a pretty good push, Libertad, that Chad comes to Melbourne?
Yes, potentially. It's a bit of a down week in Sydney.
Yep.
So, but that is a fair push.
It's interesting because a few Victorian jockeys have followed a couple that have gone to, like I know Billy Egan's going to ride Young Verda. Not that that's a good race, but it's interesting. A couple of the Victorian jockeys are going to Sydney, and now we're obviously getting a couple of the pretty top Sydney jocks coming into Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's good to see.
I'll make this point a bit later about the jockey depth. Yep. But, I think Libertad's a great chance. I think I'm Unstoppable, Archo Nacho are ahead of Stretton Angel still. And I think Honor Galore's over the odds, so I can't have Stretton Angel at $5.
Fair enough. I'm really keen Kandinsky Abstract. And I saw as much as 20s go up early. That fair to say that didn't last long at all. You spoke about that boys race up the straight. McD, I don't know what the instructions were, but he dead set dragged him out of the race, middle of the track. He was good through the line. The winners were down on the inside in those first couple of straight races, then they went far outside. So middle of the track was a complete forgive. He gets the blinkers on. He gets J-Mac down here. He's drawing the right part of the track. Double figures. I think he can really turn the table on those two. And that's why I'm keen to lay I Am Stoppable. Just at the prices, I think they're crazy. I think it's going to be a completely different race shape. And I think this colt can really serve it up to these at that type of price.
Yeah, I like that.
He's time to live up to the price tag now.
No, that's true,
He has to do it now.
At this time in the preparation, he is the D-Day horse for this weekend, I reckon, Kandinsky Abstract.
It's probably a shame he has got that price tag on him, because I think he can win Saturday, but I still think he's about a 1,400 metre horse. But I think that's why the blinkers are going on for 1,200. And it's a shame that because he's a $3 million colt, everyone thinks he had to be a fast-running 2-year-old that's going to win the prize money straight away. But he's still got plenty of time. Waller's probably looked after him. He's got better targets, as a later 3, or that can still make him worth his value. So I can't wait to see him with the blinkers on and J-Mac back in the saddle.
Yep. Well, I am big-time Stretton Angel's corner here. I'm going head-to-head with the Haylock.
Love this.
I think she can be something special. So she clocked the fastest last 200 of the capped on teams, getting caught a little bit too far out of her ground through the early stages. This shape of this straight track race, finding the best part of the ground, getting Damien Lane on board, she's got the best turn of foot in the race. She's going to be close. They're not going to go hard. She's going to zing over the top of them. I think she can find cover, be close enough, unleashing the best part of the track. More than happy to take $5. And she's I'm not playing big time at Flemington on the weekend, but she's my best bet on the card at Flemington, Stretton Angel.
I can't wait.
She's my best lay on the day.
I can't wait for about 2:42 p.m. on Saturday with the group chat. Someone's going to be up and about. Someone's going to be very quiet.
Yeah, I think so.
Tom Haylock has left the
Stretton
chat.
Angel wins, it won't be quiet. We'll be going down fighting.
It's true. And take into account too, she was first up in the capped on teams here. If you saw her improvement at Morphettville in the listed race, she won their second up. Like, she took enormous improvement again, second up into the preparation.
What do you make of the winner of that race?
She's all shenanigans. Well, she's $1 million horse for Simon Zara. She's been winning. She's 7 starts, isn't she? Over $1 million in prize money.
Was average Friday night.
Yeah, I know the form around her generally hasn't probably stacked up everywhere, but she's been a marvel for that camp. And I think I'm just taking Stretton Angel on what she's doing and what she's done in Adelaide and what I think she can be, as opposed to what's going on around her. And
you could probably argue Skirt the Law ran third in that race. I don't know, she's arguably been a little bit disappointing in her Melbourne preparation, but she obviously put up with some issues from Friday night too. So Skirt the Law form would tie in pretty good, I'd imagine.
And I think she's better suited around a bend to Skirt the Law.
Let's move. I wrote her $10.
For what it's worth.
I don't think she can win.
Are you going to...
What happened to the 80s?
You and Jackson Oldham going to put up $10 for
What
me?
happened to the 80s before we went to air?
Let's move on, boys.
She's coming in after his pep talk.
Group 2, Rose of Kingston Stakes. It's for the mares. Set weights, penalties, 1,400 metres. Ex-leader won the race last year. Still a star for Bill Ryan back in 2021 and Sierra Sue in 2020. Map-wise here, Jaja Shabugi, Starlight Scope, Road to Arataki, Princess Grace and Climbing Star all look to be the key speed influences. She's Princess Grace. I think she's been backed into sort of $1.55 on the corporates at the moment. But I think, boys, she could be the most well-placed runner on the weekend. Like, been fighting out genuine Group 1 weight for age races. She's arguably been beaten by the inferior going in the that was in the Winx Stakes.
Yep.
And
also at Caulfield
and also at Caulfield, Dart and back held up. She now lobs here at Group 2 level against her own sex under set weights. James McDonald from Barrier 5 puts her into the race, takes luck out of the equation likely here. She looks mighty hard to beat. You can understand why there's been a lot of support for her, Tommy.
Yeah, we talk about these $1.35 chances, $1.30 shots. We've seen a lot of them. Antino superbly backed. We saw one at Caulfield the week earlier that started, I can't remember what it was, started at $1.20. Red Card started at $1.30.
Come undone.
Came undone. Princess Grace, as you said, I think she just fixed herself.
Yep.
Of all the shorties over the last 2 or 3 weeks, she's one I want to be with. So watch her be unlucky and held up and run a flashing second. But $1.60, I've seen $1.60.
She went up 210. Heard on the radio this morning. Tab put up 210 and they dead set put their hands up, said this is a complete mistake what we've done here.
I wonder who they let on.
They wouldn't have let you on because you'd have too much.
Definitely. That is ridiculous they put up 210. I think she's as close to a good thing as you could see.
Apart from bad luck.
So in all seriousness, what do you have her marked? Because I see her at $1.50 where she's got into it. I'm like, I can't entertain anything at $1.50, like unless I'm having a genuine mug multi. Like I'm not putting anything at $1.50.
You backed Antino last week. What price?
$1.75. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think $1.30. I think bad luck beats her. I think she's too good for these. I can't see. Like McDonald, Barrier 5, he won't get caught on the fence. He'll stay off fence and just ride her like the best horse, and she's the best horse. She's got Group 1 Winx Stakes form, Fangirl form, Mr. Rightside form. She's up against...
You're preaching.
Group 2,
you're preaching.
You're
preaching. It's just price is king in these scenarios.
If she gets even luck and she doesn't win, I might not do another layback in Betfair.
I love it. Go Road to Arataki. Reece, shouldering arms?
Yeah, look, I'm not having a bet. There's just one mare I can't wait to see is actually Skew With.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed she's drawn where she is because they'll go back And I think she'll be a red flashing light run. She ties in with Legato, who we can't forget could be something special as well.
Yep.
And I heard Mark Walker talk on radio earlier this week, and he just wanted her to draw well, and he's unfortunately drawn 12. I don't think she's going to danger Princess Grace unless it's bad luck, but I'm really keen to follow her out of this. $8?
Yeah, so she's got
you can still get 220 of the place.
Short, sharp turn of foot, and the barrier just is awful for her. I was texting a guy from New Zealand who works with Opie Boston and said had perfect rides, and she has. She had perfect rides the last two from perfect barriers. 1400 Flemington.
Yeah.
I can't see her beating Princess Grace.
Well, they're only talking about the stats with Amelia's Jewel, the horses that go back from that wide draw can't win. She's been the only one that can sort of do it.
And she's got a short, sharp sprint. You need a long, sustained run.
Yeah.
Just before we move on to the next race, I'm just going to pick up the Opie Boston name drop from the text.
He was pretty happy with himself.
I spoke to someone who knows Opie Boston. I didn't speak to Opie.
2 degrees. 2 degrees Haylock of separation. Race 7, the Group 3, Bart Cummings. The winner is ballot exempt here from the Melbourne Cup. Win and you're in. Luna Flair was the winner last year, Grand Promenade in 2021 and Persan in 2020. First Immortal is currently a favourite here. Needs 2 to come out. I just want to check one now.
Carini's actually scratched. So
okay, big. That's a big out.
Scratching, yeah.
Okay, so it was a last start winner here. So Atherbashan we're going to go with is 2 on the trot, being held over for this by John O'Shea. We've seen what Goldman can do here as well, putting a hole through the likes of Solcombe in the Roy Higgins back in March. Interesting race, Tommy. Not one I'm going to get involved in, but one we're going to learn a lot from.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I just found out Carini's scratched. We had 45% of the market taken up with 2 emergencies.
Yeah.
How on earth do you do the race?
Yeah.
First Immortal's got to be a major chance. Carini coming out, who was a chance, probably takes some market percentage out of that. Serpentine interests me. Leading, Melamon, blinkers on, I believe, blinkers again. I thought it was good at Flemington over 2,500 metres. I like that run, but blinkers going back on. Got Atherbashan form, meets Atherbashan 4.5 kilos better, I think, or significantly better, and Atherbashan flying. So I would want to be with Serpentine, but the bottom one scares me. But I haven't spent a huge amount of time because of the emergency.
Yeah, I'm siding with Shiraz here, who I think's flying well under the radar. This horse has only had 5 starts since August last year, and Damien Oliver's ridden it in all of those starts, which is a push in itself, I think. Both runs this prep have been great. Last start behind Uncle Bryn got well out of the ground, where a lot of horses didn't make up a lot of ground in that race, and he was good through the line. Third up, 2,500. He's won at this trip. He's had 3 goes at this trip, won one of them and placed in another. I think this is a horse that's been put on a path like this, and this is a win and you're in type of race.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's probably 3 or 4 here that would possibly shape up to a major. Possibly, that is. They'd probably still be good price. But I think this horse is a crazy price from a soft draw. I think he's a very good sort of 1x3 play.
It's a huge odds last start. He's got that.
But that was his odds for winning, which was probably fair enough. Like he was probably never winning. Probably wasn't a winning chance first up 1,700. Wasn't a winning chance second up 2,000. I think up to 25 on to Flemington. D. Oliver sticks. I think he's a much more better winning chance, which is the price is probably fair enough, 14-1. But still got to see if First Immortal gets in. If First Immortal's all scratched, obviously you're probably looking at single figures already, and that probably goes to show that the race is fairly thin, isn't it? If that a horse like Shiraz is possibly going to be close to single figures.
He was under 50s on Betfair last start, and he getting $10 when he ran 8th. That's hard pill to swallow.
That's madness. Yeah, boys. Race 8, Group 1 Turnbull Stakes time here. 2,000 metres. Smoke and Romans won the race last year, incentivised back in 2021 and very elegant back in 2020. Now, well, let's talk about the imports to start with, and we can talk about the map and how it might unfold. But Romantic Warrior just looking to end a long run of outs for these Hong Kong trained gallopers in Australia. So a total of 18 Hong Kong gallopers have lined up across 47 races in Australia. Cape of Good Hope's the only winner out of those, winning the now William Reid. It was the Australia Stakes then back in 2005. So history suggests that it's hard for them to come here and win our big races, but he's pretty good. And then you've got the likes of West Wind Blows, Tommy, who I know you've tweeted about this week, and I sort of watched that last start race over there in Europe and looks a real sort of gutsy operator as well. So for me, I find it very hard to line up international form And when you're going into a race and there's $2 around an international runner that I haven't seen in Australia before, that's a shoulder of the arms for me. We might talk about the speed map as well quickly. Romantic Warrior will likely go forward. Goldman, if they go this way, Bankmore, Smoke and Romans. It's going to be really interesting to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, Westwind Blows has got speed as well, but I don't know. They've obviously got a Corporate Cup in mind. I don't know if they'll want to push forward and be trapped wide or working too hard. And it comes down to intent for Westwind Blows. Can win. Got form lines through Jubiona. Beat Jubiona in the Eclipse Stakes Group 1. How's Paddington? Beat Westwind Blows by 6.5 lengths. Probably Jubiona by 8, 9. We've seen what Jubiona has done here in Australia. So the form line, you could draw a line through that. I'd hate to see what Paddington would do to Emissary or some of these horses. Westwind Blows has got to be a chance. I think Romantic Warriors are the horse to beat. I don't think this crop are that good. I've said this for a long time. I don't rate Australia's middle distance horses, and I'll be probably playing around with Romantic Warrior and Westwind Blows for me.
If there was one of these middle distance gallopers here that's ready to peak, Osipenko, 2,000 metres, has been savaging the line in some good races and finally gets out to the trip. One to watch, and don't underestimate or don't sleep on the Melbourne Cup winner Gold Trip too, who's been doing some really good work.
And Salcombe's going really well as well. There's a few there.
I thought Salcombe was due for a bit of a flat one last start and has continued to race well. Like that was a huge win first start. Second up, I was like, maybe in for a flat one with bigger targets, but racing in great form. So no bet from me.
Yeah, no bet from me. I just want to touch on Romantic Warrior. I was a bit sceptical because I'd heard about, him not eating brilliantly. And obviously their record. And then also the other record I want to touch on is there's a pretty good history that when they come from overseas, their first up run for us is really good. And sometimes the longer they're here after a run, their second up run isn't as good. So I'm interested to see how he does go. I would probably rather him just run well, knowing that they're sort of going to be peaking going to their grand final rather than him coming out and putting this field away. And then I'm probably querying how he's going to go second run in Australia. But so I was a bit hesitant on him and the price, but when I went back and watched his work, when J-Mac come down Sunday, trainer's cap on, he couldn't have worked any better. He looked great in his action too. It started making me turn and think this horse is pretty good. He's actually here in really good order, and it wouldn't surprise me if he dead set walloped him.
I agree. I'm fascinated what the market does with him, what the big syndicates do with him.
The other thing I wanted to touch on is you've got to see how he parades, because he's never been trucked to a race course for the race. I understand it's obviously not going to be far or walked across, whatever it is. It's going to be a little bit different to what he's used to in Hong Kong, and even horses that come from Australia to go to Hong Kong, some of them just don't handle it. So he seems to have
13 degrees might be a bit different.
Yeah, he's obviously handled it okay at this stage, but if you're going to jump in at that price, I think you'd probably want to wait and see how he is on race day and see how he's in the mounting yard.
Yep.
I can't wait for it. And it's certainly, as we touched on at the top of the show, going to shape our greatest weight for age race in the Cox Plate in one way or another, whatever happens. So let's move to race 9 now. It's the Group 2 Gilgai Stakes, 1,200 metres up the straight. Private Eye won it in 2022. Kementari won it in 21. And Zutori 3 years ago I think he's back again, the old boy. So, look, Star Patrol, here's your race favourite and was outstanding first up in the Bobby Lewis. They went fast. Najim Sahel still got a stitch. Jigsaw has won 5 of the past 6. Hasn't seen the straight for over 2 years. Same Magic's the other one in the market. Is this a race that you're keen to get involved in, Tom?
I could. I probably want to see Jigsaw do it down the straight before diving into him. He went to another level last start. He won all bar one race, and I prefer him around a bend, so I'm kind of looking away from him. It's hard to go past Star Patrol. You made the case there. He does meet Zutori 5.5 kilos worse at the weights, which sounds a lot. It's probably not as big down the straight, but you've just got to tie Zutori in. He's a great fresh horse, and I think Triple Missile is the only other winning chance. So I've got 2 Star Patrol on top from Triple Missile and Zutori next, probably Jigsaw in behind in 4th.
Okay, interesting.
Well,
say Magique? Don't
No.
like her? No? Okay. I think me and Footy with her. I thought she did more than enough first up. She was off a long layoff. She was way too keen in the run. I actually would have been happy with her even if she finished a length or 2 further back. I thought she was really brave. You can tie the Benedetta for me with Star Patrol. She's won up the straight. She might not have won. She placed in the Group 1 second. There you go.
Secret.
That's right. In secret, which is good form. I was with Star Patrol first up, And I also, Clinton got trainer of the week for that because it was a great performance. So I'm now thinking, second up after a real gut buster first up off the throat op and whatever other issues he's had. I just got a little query there, and I think Magique might be able to pounce here. Second up off a big break. She's had the jump out between runs too, which was really good. I'm pretty keen on her. I think she can roll start trial.
Yeah, I'm with you. And like when you talk about looking at a horse's preparation, profiling last prep to this one, well, she's one that takes enormous improvement off first up run from Caulfield heading to Flemington. So last prep, she had a fresh run at Caulfield. It was a Group 3 fillies race. Then next start, she ran second in secret in the Coolmore stud. So second up here, 5 weeks between runs, tick over jump out. She's a good price. I've got her marked much shorter than what she currently is. So I'm keen on Magique in the Gill Guy. Jeez, boys, that was a pretty intense look at Flemington. Need a coffee after that. Need to relax. Might have to turn the cameras off here, I think. But before we head into Rose Hill, we've got to go into our award-winning segments. We're going to start off with What Caught My Eye. And Tommy, what do you got for us this week?
I just want everyone to... Well, first of all, last week we showed that replay of that sick beat. Got 14 months suspension, that jockey. So
looked hard to ride out.
Yeah,
should have been more.
Unbelievable.
It's only a reward if you're not in on it.
Yeah. So another racing replay caught my eye this week. Check this out, the States. I'm not actually sure what track it is, but have a look at this leader here. This is like you getting a stitch running backwards footy, and you'll see what happens.
He's done his abductor.
But Morning Addiction opens up the lead to 3 into the far turn run. Very speedy. First off the claim for Bill McLean here. In the second spot, Turalura, Crystal Proof. And now Morning Addiction. I don't know what happened there. She just stopped running. I don't know if she spooked. I didn't see it in the binoculars. I was in the middle of the field there, but she's dropped to the back of the pack. That was very bizarre as they come off the turn here. So after that incident here, we've got 2 runners battling on the lead, Turalura and Crystal Proof. Swift Nani trying to pick them up. And look at Morning Addiction. She's coming back. Can she get there? She's going to try to split them. Here comes Morning Addiction off the inside. Morning Addiction. Morning Addiction in a photo finish with majestic hoops. That was unbelievable. A photo finish. I won't call it. Morning Addiction. How much the best was she? I don't know if she won.
There you go. What a race call.
You know what?
You love the call.
You know what it reminds? You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like a primary school athletics carnival where they just don't know how to use. The kids don't know how to run and use their bodies yet, so they run until they hurt, and then they go, "Nah, I need a breather." It's like, pace yourself, mate, and then he goes again and wins. It's just a better athlete.
What price in play?
Yeah. What's it top out at?
Max 1,000.
Max 1,000.
That hits 1,000.
It had a bit like that grazing over in Korea, didn't it?
Yes.
If they rode it well, there's minimum 16 lengths it has on that field.
That's amazing. I don't know what price it started.
Yeah, who knows? We'll work it out.
Just caught your eye.
Nice one. Hey, it's time to get into our ride of the week now. We sort of chop and change between ride of the week and trainer of the week, and that's what we've got when we've got a guy here that's done both. Reece Goodwin, ride of the week.
Yeah, it's going to our great man Damien Lane on Amelia's Jewel, which is probably, it's nothing special. She was $1.40 or whatever she was, but it's fair to say the ride wins the race, and if he does go back and she does get beat, he probably cops all the flack. But she began well, and he just took initiative, sat her straight outside the leader. It was a good tempo. Froggy nearly pulled their pants down. That was if Froggy wins, he's getting ride of the week. But Frosty he obviously had the cattle underneath him, and she was too good. But yeah, as we spoke about off air, if he rides a negative from the gates around Moonee Valley, she gets rolled, and Twitter goes into a meltdown and whatnot, and Froggy looks like a hero, but Frosty took the initiative.
Well, Twitter shouldn't have gone down a meltdown because everyone expected her to get back. I can't believe she was that short off the map. I laid her, and later on this show and on the Betfair app where you can see my average selections and my winning lay bets.
Yep.
But I'd have that bet every day of the week.
Yeah.
I laid her $1.35, and it took a 15 out of 10 ride to get her home.
So do you know what, as well, we speak about, like, being flexible is so important as a jockey, like, wins the race. So we spoke on this show last week. I made Deny Knowledge in that race a 1/4 play because she was going to be the clear leader in the race. She was going to lead them. And if there was any track bias, I'm in with a chance. Now, she ended up taking a sit and singing home for third, which was all well and good. Yeah. But like this is what we're dealing with when we've got to make these predictions on a Thursday ahead of a Saturday or whatnot. Yeah. Let's head to Rose Hill now, boys. Good one, Reece. I liked that. Good
Thanks,
discussion.
mate. Thank you.
Track-wise, it's been pretty good up there. Rails in the true position. Good 4, good 3, Tommy?
Yeah, the track will play fine, play well. The Rose Hill track's played really well of late. It's actually been really fair, which is good to see, unlike Kenzo on Wednesday, which was a bit laterish. But yeah, track will play well. It's, not much to add.
Well, we'll start off in race 5, Group 2, the Roman Consul Stakes for the 3-year-olds, over 1,200 metres. Tommy, we're going to side with the same horse here, mate, in Osmosis. Might let you talk about the little race, about the race and how you're going to see that little speed map unfold.
Yeah, I was pretty keen to take on Royal Tribute. Osmosis last start against Royal Tribute, just with the run under the belt, but Royal Tribute was weak led. Osmosis settled outside lead. I think they'll be exactly the same again. It's hard to do. I penalise first up horses when they settle outside lead. For him to do that and settle outside lead and win like that, I thought the win was outstanding. They went fast too. So to settle outside lead first up on the back of they went 1.6 lengths faster than class benchmark to the 600. I thought the win was outstanding, and I'm happy to be with them. Celestial Legend was good late, but I think Osmosis has got a lot of improvement to come still, and I think he'll be winning. King's Gambit's the scary horse, and we mentioned D-Day horses. It's his D-Day now. I know it's weird to say for a horse that has only had a few runs, but he does so much wrong. I thought he was good at Flemington last start.
All things considered, he definitely overdid it.
How much he did wrong to finish third in that race was still a really good run. So, King's Gambit, the danger, but Osmosis on top.
He's got a motor, King's Gambit.
He's a good horse. He just needs to put it together.
I'm with Osmosis. He's my best bet of the day up there in Sydney. And it is a little bit of rinse and repeat from that heritage first start. But I guess King's Gambit is sort of the fly in the ointment almost in a race like this. But until he wants to show us that he wants to be a racehorse, then I'm just going to continue to bet against him. And I'm going to do that here. And I think Osmosis takes improvement and then stamps himself as that Coolmore horse.
I'm just looking at the market here. King's Gambit opened $6 and he's $4.60 now with no scratchings. Where's that coming from?
What price did he open?
$6. Now he's $4.60.
Probably wrong price, to be fair.
Yeah, but
he's got a boom on him.
Yeah, I understand that, but he's still doing way too many things wrong. Isn't he to be wagering him? I would have thought.
Yeah, everyone loves a boom horse, especially early. Doesn't take much.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, Tom, is you talk about the speed map. If this horse doesn't settle, where have you got him mapped?
Which horse?
King's Gambit.
King's Gambit. That's a good question.
If they're going to, you were saying Osmosis outside leader, but I'm just thinking if King's Gambit isn't on his behaviour, Tommy's going to have to roll with him and that injects a little bit of speed. I'm hoping, anyway, from my tip point of view, which is Barber, which you would argue couldn't possibly have a chance after the results last start. But I thought was probably pretty good in a fast run race where he was probably run off his feet a bit. Inside draw. He's really interesting because I've always liked him and then I really knocked him at the start of this prep because they looked like they couldn't get him right.
Yeah, I thought he was just going.
He was in Sydney, just going. He come to Melbourne to jump out, still just going. Then he ends up back in Sydney and there was money for him. We spoke in the chat. There was good money for him first up. And he was okay. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't red flashing light running through the line. But I just thought with the different scenario here, maybe from an inside draw, King's Gambit might pressure these ones up front. I was happy to have sight with something each way on him.
He was hammered in betting.
It's crazy.
He's sick.
He loves Blue.
He loves Blue.
I am a sicko.
He loves Blue Jacket.
They're not going to give you a horse, mate.
I can't wait.
I'll get there.
I reckon Barber will look all right in your stable as a
dreams are free, okay, Tom.
6-year-old gelding.
I reckon King's Gambit though. Are they trying to go back and trying to get him to settle here because a name for a Group 1? I don't know.
We'll
it's
see.
an interesting
Awkward draw.
Let's move on to race 6 now, which is the Tap Craig 3-year-olds, 1,400 metres. It's a $500,000 race we got going on here, and speed map wise, snapback, little pumper, disc neck. Ostraka, namesake, NCAP will be handy as well. I'm pretty keen on one here, Tom, but how are you seeing the race unfold?
2 horses for me, and I'll be backing them both. NCAP, clearly the horse to beat. Got the best form lines. Golden Rose, I don't know how he lost that Golden Rose. He's a very good horse, NCAP, and I think he can win this. He's conceding weight, and he's got Preble on, but good barrier, rock hard fit. A-grade form lines, deservedly short price favourite. I think he should be better than these. And the other one I want to back is number 13, Macarena, who is a horse I've got to, get it up for us. The producer said to get freaky. I don't think that's what he meant.
Spice it up a bit.
Yeah, that's all right.
This horse, this win outstanding last start. jumped well, snagged back, couldn't get in, rolled forward after that. Mid-race, had to settle outside lead again. Doesn't happen very often. Still strong on the line, fighting it out over 12.50. I think the 1,400 metres suits based on that. I think she's a nice horse. And Tommy Tuplay and Captain Macarena will be making a profit.
Yep, I'm just with you on NCAP. Rates so far clear of these. They were attempting a late bid for the Everest as well that fell through. And then they were looking at the King Charles. However, Gary Portelli saw the depth of this field. And
Mystery's about to make the Everest the way the race is going.
Yeah, so he's up. It'll be all right. Threw in a late nom for this. So I think he's going to have to he's $2 now, $2.30 into $2. He's going to have to seriously regress, and something is going to have to properly jump out of the ground to beat him off the exposed form this prep. So I'm happy to take $2. What would Militarise pay in this race?
Yeah. Well, I think NCAP would probably be a better bet than Militarising this with the racing pattern. But
can I make a case for one at Footy will hate me for this? Can I make a case for one at massive odds and give me your opinion on it?
Yeah.
Heeman was first up down the straight in the Archo Nacho race. Was out the back with Kadinsky Abstract. Made good ground with him. Well, I wouldn't say good ground, but they were in the wrong part of the track. It was a bad race shape. Mahaba was behind him in the run and won Friday night before that, he won on debut and then he ran second in a good race in Queensland. At his best, is he any type of chance at 51?
He'd need to improve a lot. I mean, that Asfar debut at Kembla's pretty moderate form. But I love the fact you're making the case because it makes me more confident that Street and Angel can't win. So that's good.
Sorry, Nick.
If He-Man runs up to his peak that he did at listed level in Queensland, he still has to improve 4 lengths. But
to win or just to be competitive?
Yeah,
the race drops away pretty quick after the top.
But horses can do that at the stage as well.
It's not a bad
up to 1,400, I think. I remember Snowden's talking on radio. Said they were looking forward to him 1,400, 1,600.
Being facetious, don't mind it. We'll never knock someone for having a crack. The feature on the card, race 7, the Group 2 Hill Stakes, weight for age, 1,900 metres. Cascadian won the race last year. I'm certainly not going to be getting involved in this from a betting perspective when you're looking at, is it Montefilia, your race favourite at $4? The likes of, in terms of speed map wise, we're looking at Hinged, Ironclad, Magical Lagoon, Numerian first up. Protagonist can be handy from the paint as well. Another shoulder of the arms for me, boys. Can
you trust any of these horses?
No.
I agree. I'm not betting. I would have been with no compromise, but draws 16, probably get scratched. Numerian, clear leader. Not much to add.
Got beat up on in a gallop the other day by Zaki. I know it's Zaki, but you couldn't be excited about his work.
No, it's just, I couldn't trust
There's
any of these.
no horse you can trust here, but there is one jockey you can.
That's a good angle.
Nashville Willer onto Montefilia.
Yes,
that has to be
like that.
He can, he's Espiona. I know she had the right run, but there's one jockey that can get this horse to win. Surely it's him.
Yep.
I love that. That's a great call. Probably why it's favourite.
That's right, yeah.
Yep. Well, let's move on. That's the least time we've ever spent on a feature race. Race number 8 is the Allen Brown Stakes. 1.5 mil this race is worth. It's a glorified midway, 1,400 metres. 1,400 metres here. Tamer Lane is your leader. Likes of Wild Planet, Attractable, Bandersnatch, Skyman. Again, it's a sit and probably, I'm not sure if I'll even watch, but it's definitely a lead this race. So I'm busy on Saturday afternoon, guys. It's not all racing
anymore, mate.
No, that's a good point. Tommy, have you got an opinion?
I've written 2 words in the preview. No, thanks. No, I can't trust any of these. Roots best is good enough. Waterford back and trip. Fascinating. Well, we're meant to go a mile.
Struggling to win, so they're trying a few things.
Back marker, back and trip, Prevalon. Can't have Waterford at the price. Can win. I was keen on him last weekend, but I don't want to take him 1,400 metres with Prevalon. Back marker. No, thanks for me.
This sounds like my type of race because there's a lot of chances.
Yeah, you'll make an angle for something.
100%.
What's Nash riding?
Not the one I'm tipping. He couldn't ride 53. Argentia. I think ticking along pretty good. Jo Pride's still having a good feel of her and working her out. She was a troublesome little girl when she was here in Melbourne. Owned as a centre up there. She was great first up behind I Am Me. Then she was even better behind Buenos Noches, which is pretty good form, I feel. 1,300 last start, she just overdid it a little bit. I don't think she found cover, and that was costly at the end, but she was still honest. She gets to 1,400 where she does have good form, but her biggest thing is just settling and running. But I think she can get smothered up from 4 in a big field, which generates good tempo, I hope, because it's fair to say in a few of the races she's been in Sydney, they haven't gone overly hard and she's been left exposed. And I think
Sydney
that's the
racing
difference.
at times.
Yeah, I think that's the difference with her. And for the price she went around her last couple to what she's going around now, and what's certainly not a stronger race, I think she's worth a spec each way.
Yep, which is a nice little each way price, getting about 11s on her at the corporates at the moment. And our last race that we'll have a look at is race number 9, the Group 3, the Division for the mares, set weights, 1,200 metres. Again, I'm shouldering arms late here in Sydney, fellas. From a map point of view, we've got Queen of the Ball, Audette, Call Die, Parasol, Royal Merchant. There are some nice horses in this race. I found it quite hard to dissect. Tommy, how about yourself?
I've taken an early price Magic Time here, opened $4. I thought she was a silly price. I thought she should have been favourite against Parasol. She's beaten Parasol in the
She give her
past.
windburn.
Yes,
Stuck to the rail.
Yes, I love the run of Magic Time last start. The race shape didn't suit, trap wide, still kept coming. Probably entitled to weaking out of it there, and I thought she was really good late, and that's as for a form.
Yeah.
Good form, as for a form.
That's top form.
Yep.
I've got her clearly on top, Magic Time. I'm making a case for Royal Merchant, who's probably a silly price. I want to see what the market does with Royal Merchant. This is a Group 1 winner against open age horses in a Goodwood. I know it had 52.5 kilos there, but seriously nice horse. Forgive the Stradbroke, only beaten 4 anyway. I probably save Royal Merchant, see what the market does, but Magic Time on top for me.
Yeah, look, I'm not having a bet, but I'd certainly agree that Magic Time would be the bet out of the two in the market, and very typical of the big horses to improve out of their first up run. She's won in Sydney, so yeah, I think she was probably a silly price when they went up early.
I think she's a really nice horse.
Agree.
Opinion
Agree. It's interesting. Jordan Childs would know that, and Jordan stays in Melbourne and doesn't ride her unless he's suspended. I should probably check my facts before I know that. But I'm assuming he's right. Well, he's not riding her in Sydney, so it's interesting that he would know she's got a big motor and he's not there to ride her. But obviously Nash is a great get.
Yeah, you take Nash over Jordan.
Oh,
No
no,
offence
okay.
to-
Oh. He did win on her over there, so
He did,
there's no knock.
but Nash is my go-to jockey.
We've finally got through, Rose.
Yeah,
here.
we got there.
We did pretty good. We've taken our time today, but hopefully that means we've shown some care and we're paid back in full on the weekend. We'll get to our unit plays quickly before we round out the show. Tommy, do you want to whiz through your unit plays first and how you're going to attack the weekend?
Are you going to go to take on me first or after this?
Oh, we'll go after
We'll
the
go
unit
after
plays.
the units
Yep.
play. Change it up.
Yep.
Sorry, Jacko. Race for number 10, Conasana. 0.3 unit win, 0.7 unit place, small bet there. Grinzinger Bell, 1.1 unit win, 0.2 unit place, 200s there.
Get in early.
Laying Stretton Angel for a liability of 2 units, race 5, number 9. Actually, I might make it 2.5 units.
You'd be copping more than
I
that.
love that. That is
You'd be
brilliant.
copping more than that if she
Flemington-
wins.
Right at the end of the show, he's just gained more confidence.
Flemington race 6, number 3, Princess Grace, 2 unit win. I'm not over betting her, but I think she $1.60 at the moment. I think it's a good price. Flemington race 10, number 5, Tamerlane. I think really good bet. We didn't touch on that race. I'll probably be backing Cliffs down the bottom as well at a big price. Von Hawk, I think, is a really nice horse, but 1.5 unit win just with Von Hawk. Hasn't got a rider yet. So they need probably a scratching and a good jockey
He
to
also
come.
needs to learn to settle in his races.
Yes, he does. That's very true. I was making this point. The jockeys, you go to Sydney, there's about 15 riders of good quality that can ride 54 or under. In
not many
Melbourne, there's
lightweights,
not
yeah.
much.
Yeah,
So
true.
if you're a lightweight rider, come to Melbourne, you'll get some rides.
I'll be your manager.
Yeah, I'll manage it. Tamerlane, 1.5 units, race 10 there at Flemington, and 2 bets in Sydney. Rose Hill, race 5, number 3, Osmosis, 1.5 units win. And race 9 at number 5, Magic Time, my best of the day, 2 units win.
Very good. Over to you, Reece.
Flemington, race 3, number 9, Gates. We're going 0.25 to win, 0.75 to place. He's pretty big odds there. Race 4, number 2, Legacies, 1 unit to win. Flemington, race 5, number 7, Kadinsky, Abstract, 1 unit to win. Race 7 at Headquarters, Shiraz, 0.5 to win, 0.5 to place. We go up to Rose Hill, race 5, number 2, Barber, 1 unit to win. And Rose Hill, race 8, number 13, Argentia, 0.5 to win, 0.5 to place, and a nice each way quote.
Excellent. Well, here's my plays. Flemington race 3, number 11, SK, 0.1 unit to win. Flemington race 4, number 8, Nadachi, 0.3 units to win, 0.9 units to place. Flemington race 5, number 9, Stretton Angel, 1.5 units to win. Flemington race 9, Say Magique, 1 unit to win. And then up at Rose Hill, race 5, number 3, Osmosis, 2.5 units to win. Race number 6, number 1, NCAP, 2.5 units to win. Just a couple of bangers to play us out there at Rose Hill. Before we round out, though, we've got to head to Jackson now for Take On Me, and this is what he likes this weekend.
Take On Me this week, Flemington Turnbull Stakes Day, and I want to lay race 9, number 1, Jigsaw, C. Alderson D. Moore. This horse went to a new level last preparation. He won 5 of 6, but most of those were on tight turning / on-speed dominated races. First up at Cranbourne, on-speed, tight turning track. Went to Caulfield, sat outside lead in an on-speed dominated race. Went to Sandown, Hillside, a little bit of a longer straight, and his rating did drop off a bit even though he won. Went back to the Valley, exploded ratings-wise, tight turning track. Led at too quick of a tempo by an Imperatrice, blew up, and then went to Mornington and won on what is another tight turning track. He faces a completely different set of circumstances here. First up, Flemington down the straight, 1,200 metres. He's been to Flemington once and failed, although I'm not putting too much stock into that, as I think last preparation's form is what you have to base him on. He's jumped out well, but this is a completely different kettle of fish. I want to be with horses like Star Patrol, even Ashford Street, Triple Missile, Cause for Concern. Say Magique down the bottom obviously has the big 1,200 metre race. In her, a Jigsaw just looks under the odds here with the setup. So $4.60 is the best around at the moment. I'm going to put up 400 at $5.50 on Betfair. So come on, take me on. That's race 9, number 1, Jigsaw.
Thanks, Jacko. He's on absolute fire at the moment too. If you do want to take him on, make sure you get on and do that. Boys, rounds out the show. Huge weekend. It was a huge show. I'm feeling fatigued. I'm going to need a little siesta after that. I might need a little nap.
I handled it okay.
Yeah.
No, you'll head straight across the road.
Yeah, straight to have a bet.
All the best on the weekend. Got any runners?
Yeah, I've got a busy day at Royal Matoa on Saturday.
Beautiful.
Winners.
We'll just skip. Next question, please.
That was a Ryan Moore type response.
It's a long way to go. If I don't come home with one, I'm going to be terribly disappointed, but I'm not going there with a lot of confidence with my current strike rate. So.
Tommy, hopefully more luck at the track for you this weekend.
Thanks,
and
mate.
For me, all the best, everyone. Always gamble responsibly. And we'll be back next week on Layback with Betfair. Welcome to Layback with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.